Now, the year 2012 has been very interesting for the automobile industry. In fact, it has hit its all-time low in this year. So for manufacturers, the challenge has not only been to actually slash costs and make the cars more affordable by adopting principles of, say, lean manufacturing or eliminating waste, but it has also been challenging time, for they have to ensure the maintenance cost is spot on.
You know, service excellence is something which has driven companies like Lexus and some of the other leading brands around the world. We definitely see India also rapidly moving towards, the Indian customer also rapidly moving towards understanding what kind of after-sales service you provide to me going forward, not just the initial product ownership, not just the initial sales experience. From that perspective, I think India definitely, when you see leading manufacturers like Maruti Suzuki, have understood what consumers are looking for and are driving towards excellence year after year. That said, I think in the coming years, you are not only going to look at the competition that exists within the OEMs, you're also likely to see competition from the aftermarket.
Now, another thing which has out and out governed the Indian automobile industry in the year 2012 has been dieselization. So a small compact diesel engine has been on the top of the priority list for an Indian consumer, and which has obviously affected the fuel economy standards, so the figures have substantially risen. Without really understanding the number of kilometers that an average Indian consumer is traveling, diesel engine just seems to be the option which is on the top of the mind.
Okay, I mean, look, there has been a lot of back and forth happening in the country in terms of fuel, and I think the policy directions are still not very clear for an OEM, you know, what the policy would change going forward, if it would change. As far as the consumer side is concerned, I think if you look at a country like India, the choice of fuel is largely dependent upon the operating economics. So if there is a substantial difference between petrol and diesel fuel prices, then clearly you are looking at consumers choosing for the cheaper option. It is not like Europe, where consumers choose diesel because it's considered greener. So I think from that perspective, India is still, the consumer preferences are still emerging, and I think both policy as well as consumer side, we would continue to see some amount of fluctuation or some amount of variance in demand as well as consumer behavior.
Now, despite the excessive dieselization, there is a brave manufacturer, which is Ford, which is actually bucking the trend by launching the EcoSport with the EcoBoost engine, which is obviously a 1-liter petrol engine. And probably, yes, it will see a payoff down the line, because the government plans to increase the prices of diesel to the tune of 50 paisa every month, so that it eventually slashes the entire subsidy. JD Power Asia Pacific enters the mind of these observant consumers, could be drivers, could be passengers, and evaluate the car on the basis of its comfort, vehicle interiors, performance, HVAC, audio entertainment, and all the rest of it. In fact, it also takes into account the last mile connectivity, which is dealer interaction.
We're selling one of the most important consumer products someone will ever purchase in their life, other than a house. But a car, it should be a great experience. It should be high emotional value. It should be fun. And so when you come in the dealership, it should be a very positive experience. I think we're moving in that way as an industry. But in the past, it's been more of a, should I trust my dealer or not? And when you walk in an Apple store, you trust those guys. And hopefully over time, that our dealer sales staff will be more working with customers, helping them understand and get into the right kind of vehicle for them, as opposed to pushing sales. And as we can incorporate more types of Apple sales approaches into our automotive dealerships, it'll be a win-win for everybody.
Though the auto sales figure 2012 tell a saddening tale, experts from JD Power Asia Pacific maintain that stakeholders must put their faith in the country that is touted to be the third largest in the world after US and China in terms of the auto sales. Talking of China, the experts at JD Power Asia Pacific highlighted how China market was a complicated web. With too many local auto giants being at the core of the landscape and a high number of joint ventures spread all around. Joint ventures have given local Chinese player global exposure, but the question on future of joint venture remains. If China will venture out with more foreign partners or facilitate local players, keeping the intellectual rights in the country. The India story is not governed by the market dynamics of 1 year. The overall picture is clear. There is a giant from Asia, one poised for growth. The India story is slow and steady, but one that will be one of the strongest business cases in the future.